The MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship 2019.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Pembrey, the penultimate event of the 2019 MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship. The last time we were here in Wales, it was glorious sunshine. Sunburn was the order of the day. This time today, it's a little bit on the damp side. Should be brighter for day two, but in the meantime, the trucks are going to heat up the track for us.
Championship leader Ryan Smith bounced back from a slightly disappointing Snetterton for him with a pole position ahead of John Newell and David Jenkins. Mark Taylor fourth from Ricky Collett. Then in Division 2, Paul Rivett, the man setting down the gauntlet. Championship leader Luke Garrett second from Steve Powell, Eric Forstrom and the resurgent Simon Cole.
Our first race of the weekend is for Division 2, double pole position again for Paul Rivett. You're making a habit of this, Paul.
Yeah, I think that's 8 poles now out of, so I think that's half the poles, including, if we include brands and that, so I think we'll have the pole record for the year, which I'm really pleased with, first year out in it. So probably the only, I think the only thing we'll come away on the top step with at the end of the year, but nice to have, nice to have all those poles. So it's been really good. I mean, the guys have worked so hard on the truck, it's nice to reward it and show the pace that it can turn out.
And John, you're up in P2, so it's really mixing things up in Division 1, which is our second race of the day.
Yeah, we're making big improvements all the time, so getting closer to front two and splitting them this time, which we're over at moon with.
Things really going well, and as we head towards Brands Hatch, that's a massive meeting, isn't it? This one really an important meeting in its own right, but the pressure maybe not quite as intense as we'd see at Brands.
No, Brands Hatch will be the big final finale. Everybody will be battling for championship places, so we can expect a good weekend at Brands.
It was a tad wet for the opening races of the weekend. Paul Rivett got away well from the Division 2 pole up ahead of Luke Garrett. Steve Powell was involved in the chase as well in yellow. Ultimately, Rivett taking the win from Luke Garrett. Second and fastest lap, Eric Forstrom third. In Division 1, again, very wet conditions, but some great racing nonetheless, as poleman Ryan Smith pulled away up front. Dave Jenkins moved up from third into second. Smith winning from Jenkins, Simon Reed in third. On to our second race of the weekend for Division 2. And this is the partially reverse grid race. John Bowler on pole position with Brad Smith alongside Adam Bint and Simon Cole on row 2. The top 8, remember, getting switched around from the first race. The third race of the weekend will be fastest off the front again, but it's John Bowler and Brad Smith. Eric Forstrom breaks ranks in the bonneted 50, looks around the outside line of Simon Cole, and how he held on to the grip, I don't know. He didn't. He's fishtail, so too does Simon Cole, and is that going to be a race stoppage already, because that's from the fastest point on the track into the slowest corner. Eric's kept it going. Superb from Eric, but bitterly disappointing for Simon Cole. Simon, who in the first race of the weekend had a 5th place. Luke Garrett got the fastest lap in race number 1, so Luke having to work hard here to try and go through. The expectation for Garrett this weekend is that he will wrap up the championship, we think at the moment, in the 4th race for Division 2 for the weekend. But it's John Bowler, the man from Stockport, who leads this one. Brad Smith second. Paul Rivett from 8th on the grid has come through into 3rd. That track, it looks meaner every round with that black livery, and particularly I'm not sure whether it had the black screen covering on the top of the previous rounds, but it really looks mean now with just that hint of light blue on the grille. And he is up to 2nd place. Paul Rivett on an absolute mission here. We see that truck well sorted in the dry, and Paul Rivett, who's done very little in the way of racing here at Pembrey in years gone by, was actually greeted today in the paddock by a driver who was coached by Paul a couple of years back, and he's racing in the MG Owners Club Championship. And I was chatting to Paul about that earlier on. He was telling me that Yeah, he has coached here in the very early days, so knows the track reasonably well. But of course, Pembrey, not a track where the Renault Clio Championship race. The touring cars have not been here for many seasons, and I don't think ever with the Clio, so he hasn't got that much experience of it, but running superbly as we watch Steve Powell. Steve, 5th in the championship coming to South Wales, made up a little bit of ground in race number 1 with a 12-point score. Paul Rivette, the winner, got 15. Luke Garrett got fastest lap, and he was second, so he gets 15 points as well. And there is Luke, about to have a go at Adam Bint. Luke in the green and white 42 truck. Adam Bint in front of him at the moment. Binty, a driver we're expecting to come back to the boilers. I tell you what, Paul Rivette is on a mission at the moment, but it's John Bowler. Now, those two had an absolute ding-dong at Snetterton, so are we going to see a replay of that if Rev can close the gap? Now you can see Garrett working hard. He may well know that the championship is perhaps an inevitability barring any problems, but he's really getting stuck in, and that was a lovely piece of overtaking there by Luke Garrett round the outside. Adam Bint as well kept it tight, knew he was there, didn't want to force the champion-elect, and of course Adam Bint, like the man behind him, Steve Powell, is a former champion. We've got so many champions that have stayed with Division 2, and we've had some super racing from them, but Luke Garrett looking to successfully defend the championship, closing in now on Brad Smith and challenging for a podium. Binty busy looking in his mirrors at Steve Powell. Meanwhile, Jim Bennett gets, oh, poor old Simon Cole has been a victim of some a little bit of rubbing in, both off the start and there with Jim Bennett, who was having a go at him, and Simon has another gyration. Simon Cole bags the spirit in that team. Lots of pace as well. They just haven't been able to unlock the potential from that truck very much this year. I hope they do. If they can't this weekend, then it'll be home tarmac at Brands Hatch for him in November. But we're on to the last lap of this one. John Bowler is looking good for a win at the moment. There is Eric Forstrom. Eric down at the moment in 8th place as Luke Garrett challenges Paul Rivette. This is for 2nd place. Garrett's got the fastest lap again. That was just before the halfway stage of the race, and Luke looking very racy at the moment. Chases hard. Meanwhile, here comes John Powell, the Tunbridge-based racer, busy chasing Adam Bint, so he's caught Binty. It is still John Bowler out front. There is John closing in on Jim Bennett, who's in front of him, but this is the closest battle on track, and it's for the podium position here. Luke's got the point in the bag at the moment for fastest lap. Is he going to be able to grab an extra point? He'll effectively get race-winning points if he passes Rivette and goes up into 2nd place, because you'll get the extra for fastest lap. 15 points to win, 14 for 2nd, 1 for fastest lap as well. Paul Rivette is not an easy driver to pass. It is going to be John Bowler who's going to take the win, and John's worked hard. Paul Rivette in 2nd position. Jim Bennett's going to have to do another lap. The last lap board going out for him. Bowler looks down the inside line. Jim's going to have to do another tour. Paul Rivette 2nd, holds on ahead of Luke Garrett. Back in 3rd place at the moment is Steve Powell. A little bit further back than that, 5th position Adam Bint, then John Powell, followed by Brad Smith. Eric Forstrom is in behind as well. Everybody finishing this, right? Everybody that started finishes the race. There is Steve Powell in yellow. The HGV direct truck is 4th. Adam Bint takes 5th place. John Powell side by side with Brad Smith. John Powell right of shot, grabbing that 6th position. 7th goes to Brad Smith. 8th was Eric Forstrom from Simon Cole, and Jim Bennett wrapping up the finishers.
A fine win there. Any pressure? They were closing a wee bit, but you seem to have the measure of them.
Yeah, that's it. I could see him coming. Towards the end, we just backed it off a little bit just to keep consistency, especially it was very greasy out there today. So, yeah, I did happy with the win, yeah.
Yeah, we managed to get a better start than Luke on that one, which was the key to that race, really. Thinking if he'd got the jump on us at the start, he has got the pace on us in the wet. We've obviously got it in the dry with the 2 poles from quali, but so well done to John. But yeah, Luke and I had a great race again, you know, good and fair, and just great racing. So
Fastest lap, another podium, and edging closer towards that title. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. Like I said, every time we speak, it's always, you know, tomorrow's another day, so something could happen. But I'm just doing what I need to do, so that's what I'm doing.
Steve, I'm not quite sure how you've done it, but you've laid the sunshine on for us today at Pembrey.
Yeah, good morning. Today is absolutely fantastic. The sun's out, the people are coming in droves, and I'm looking forward to a good day's racing.
They're going to see a good battle, aren't they? Because it's open in pretty much both categories.
Yeah, I mean, Division 1 is very close between David and Ryan, and Mark Taylor and John Newell are right there nipping at their heels, so that's an exciting battle. There's only one race worth of points between them. As usual, Division 2 is producing some fantastic, very close racing. Those drivers are all very well matched. There's 4 drivers within 3 points of each other battling for second place.
And the season finale, Brands Hatch, what an event that always is.
Yeah, it's going to be great there actually. We normally get 18 to 20,000 people at that event, and you'll see that as the day goes on that more and more come for the fireworks at the end. But you know, for sponsors and hospitality for all the teams, it's obviously the highlight of the calendar.
A restarted second race for Division 1 trucks. Richard Collett was due to be on row 2, starts off the back. And it is Tom O'Rourke on pole. John Newell gets the swoop down into the hairpin. Simon Reed, who was fastest in race 1 on the outside line. Then it's Dave Jenkins challenging for third, side by side with O'Rourke. Great driving between the two of them. Tom keeping it tight. And that was really good, respectful racing. The reigning champion, Ryan Smith, goes past as well in the number 1 truck. So it's John Newell out front. Simon Reed, fastest lap in race number 1 in very, very wet conditions, and Simon on a mission this weekend. Super to see the Stoke-on-Trent racer back and challenging John Newell. John here looking to get points to take third place in the championship away from Mark Taylor. There's only 6 points between them coming into this race, into this weekend. And John's already overturned that because Mark Taylor non-finished in the first race. So John now up into third, but maybe expect that to seesaw as the races go on over the course of the weekend. So it's Newell out front, Reed second, then it's the Hiab Digraph black truck of Dave Jenkins, and then the number 1 of Ryan Smith, who of course, winning many of the fastest off the front races, then has to go into the reverse grid part and do all the overtaking like Dave Jenkins in front of him. This is what the fans pay to see in truck racing. We've got the top 4 trucks in a reverse grid race all together. And it's John Newell out front, Simon Reed P2, then David Jenkins in white. And looking racy as ever, the reigning champion Ryan Smith chasing former champion Dave Jenkins. It's almost 2 distinct battles. It looks that way as Newell goes through in the lead under pressure from Simon Reed. They come through Honda turn. This is the last corner on the 1.4 mile circuit here at Pembrey. So Newell still leading, and maybe a little bit defensive coming down into Hatchett's, and Simon Reed just follows the line through. Jenkins in third, Ryan Smith here, the driver with no pressure on him, goes tight there, goes back to the outside line, so try and carry some extra speed and maybe have a nibble at Jenkins elsewhere on the track. Very definitely 2 distinct battles. So it's the Taylor's Transport MV Commercial number 1 white truck busy chasing Dave Jenkins, and John Newell doing a super job at the moment out front of defending this race from former Division 2 champion Simon Reed. The Reed Transport Iveco Stralis, the antidote really to the MANs in the Division 1 category. I'll tell you what, Dave Jenkins is closing up now, so Jenks starting to put pressure on Simon Reed. This may alleviate the pressure a bit on race leader John Newell at the minute. Jenkins is 16 points behind Ryan Smith at the moment in the championship, lost a point to Ryan in race number 1. So at the moment he's pulling a point back provisionally by being ahead of him. There is Tom O'Rourke, newest driver in Division 1, comes from Livingston, and the MV Commercial man learning his craft very much here in Division 1 truck racing. A little mistake from Simon Reed, who gets tail happy, and Dave Jenkins looking through on the inside line. Reed, if he holds his speed, will have the inside line for the next corner, but Jenks just nips across, and I think there was a little touch on the 2 trucks, and maybe as a result of that, off goes Reed. Can't see from here what the problem is, but possibly has he punctured the tyre, because there was maybe the slightest of rubs between himself and Dave Jenkins, who is okay, and Jenkins up in second, or is he, because he spins round? Jenkins has got problems as well and spins off. High drama here. So the second and third place trucks are gone. Jenkins is stranded. That surely is going to be a red flag. John Newell is out front, leading the race. Ryan Smith now up to second, and that's going to be a big points haul here for Ryan Smith. He was 16 points. That's one race and 1 point clear of Jenkins, and he's in second and closing in on John Newell. If we don't get the red flag, we have got red flags at the back of shot. So John Newell will take the race win from Ryan Smith. Mark Taylor will be in third place from Tom O'Rourke. Championship wise, now Ryan Smith has a big extension of the championship lead over David Jenkins, and John Newell will move a little bit further ahead of Mark Taylor as well. There are the red flags, and it's John Newell who will be confirmed as winner from championship leader Ryan Smith in second. Here is confirmation of that result. Mark Taylor picking up the podium for third, Tom O'Rourke fourth. Fastest lap of the race, some consolation for David Jenkins.
John, what a race that was.
Oh, unbelievable. I got took out in the first corner of the first start, and then I thought, right, we've got to make us way front back, and then it were red flags, so we started again, we got in front, and we just kept pushing and just defended for his life, and it paid off in the end. It was a good race.
Simon, as always, great to see you in the truck paddock, and she's behaving herself a bit better today.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. We changed so much beginning of the season: engine, gearbox, now rear axle, suspension. It's just too much on these trucks. They're so when they're so big and they're just so finely balanced, you really got to do one thing at a time. But we've done the whole hog, and really and truthfully, it's a learning curve. But we seem to be getting there now.
Simon Cole lines up on row 3 for this one, headed by Paul Rivette, who was fastest in qualifying from championship leader Luke Garrett. Steve Powell row 2 with Eric Forstrom. Brad Smith is on the outside of Simon Cole on row 3, then John Bowler, Adam Bint, Trevor Martin, John Powell and Jim Bennett due to complete the grid. So the two main rivals at the moment for the championship on the front row of the grid. Paul Rivette in the black and blue 22, the green and white 42 of Luke Garrett gets the run down into Hatchets. Garrett's got the lead. On the brakes they go. Eric Forstrom on the outside line. Steve Powell, and a problem for Paul Rivette, slows up and stops. And how nobody hit him, I don't know, but they all read the situation well. The Tacosys truck, the nearest challenger to Luke Garrett, on my maths, 74 points down. That could, we're going to have to do the maths, in truck with Brad Smith. Contact there between Adam Bint and Simon Cole. Very frenetic stuff on lap number 1. Side by side, when you get these starts, it can happen. And Brad Smith getting into John Bowler's truck as well. A little bit of contact between the two. Brad on the grass left of shot. John Bowler rejoins. John Powell, I think, was worried about being speared there. Goes off on the grass. I think that was a fair reaction from John Powell, actually. But it leaves him bogged down on very, very wet grass indeed. It threw down all day yesterday, and the grass is extremely wet here. And we're only just above sea level. We're below sea level at high tide here at Pembrey, which makes the water table very high, and the track can get flooded. But if the track isn't, the grass can be extremely wet. As Luke Garrett leads, Steve Powell is second. Steve is fourth in the championship by my reckoning. The gap between Powell and Luke Garrett, 80 points. So Steve Powell here needs to win every race this year remaining, including this one and race 2, with Luke Garrett non-finishing those in order to stay in contention for the championship. Garrett needs to take 6 points in this race out of Paul Rivette, which he will do because Paul is running. He's got going again, Paul Rivette, but he's not, unless we have lots of retirements here, isn't going to score enough points to stay in touch. So who else do we need to think about? We need to think about John Bowler as well, who's third in the championship. And John, after his excursion, is on for, at the moment, 6 points. So it's not going to pan out. It looks like, provisionally, Luke Garrett's championship from here, because all of the other contenders, we knew it was an outside chance. The surprise is really not that it's happened here at Pembrey, but that it's happened a race earlier than we thought it might. So there is what's developing into a nice battle at the moment between Steve Powell and Eric Forstrom. That's for second place. Luke Garrett away and down the road. Sets the fastest lap of 1:13.003. Adam Bint busy chasing Simon Cole. And Eric Forstrom having a good run here out of Honda. Steve Powell keeping the inside line covered. He's going to make Eric go around the outside line and work hard here. Eric's having a lurk, draws level, but Steve Powell has got the initiative there. Down into Hatchets, grabs the line. Eric has to run a little bit wide and will try and fight back. It's bringing Simon Cole into the equation as well. Simon, the man we heard from just before the start of this race. He'll be pleased to be back on potential podium pace here. Jim Bennett up ahead of John Powell, the JP Racing DAF, busy chasing now. And look at this battle for second. Eric Forstrom not giving up at all. The Sisu having a very good look all over the back of Steve Powell. Simon Cole is, as you can see, closing in. So despite this being fastest off the front racing, we have got 3 trucks very much together, possibly because of the work that each driver has done over the course of the weekend, possibly also that qualifying yesterday was in extremely wet conditions here in South Wales. Thankfully, main race day, it's drier, and you can see from the shadows a little bit of sun gracing the track at the moment as well. Eric Forstrom getting closer. They're coming into Honda, which is the last turn on the lap. Steve Powell still there at the moment. Eric Forstrom not using as much road perhaps as he might otherwise want to coming out of Honda, but he's got a good run down the inside line here. And Forstrom challenging for second place, side by side with Steve Powell. Steve has seen him clearly, he's not moving across, and Eric Forstrom through into P2. That was a wonderful piece of truck racing between Forstrom and Steve Powell. Steve back on the gas, challenges for second place again. But I commend that overtake. Eric Forstrom used the momentum out of Honda. He wasn't wide out of Honda, but he had good momentum. Got the inside line nice and early along the straight. Steve Powell saw him. Clean, respectful, fair truck racing. And the fans here, you can see the cars all popped up around the circuit here, are watching 2 great truck drivers in action. But Forstrom's got a problem and slows, and Steve Powell is back into P2. Eric Forstrom, now is that a blip? No, he's lost third. Simon Cole goes back into third and into retirement. Eric Forstrom, the amiable Finn, is off the circuit. Such a shame. But we've got Steve. It was a good race between him and Steve Powell. Simon Cole now onto a potential podium. Adam Bint is 4th. Luke Garrett, champion-elect. Here he is. I reckon mathematically it's done, and he's coming on to the last lap. So Luke Garrett, I don't know if he'll have even done the sums. He probably, now bear in mind that we would have expected the likes of John Bowler and Paul Rivett. Paul was nearest to him in the championship standings. We would have expected those 2 guys to have been in the top 4 or 5, and therefore the championship mathematically would have gone to race 4 this weekend. There is John Bowler. John running in 9th place. That's 7 points. It's not enough for John Bowler. That'll put him on 275. He'll be 87 points behind the championship leader Luke Garrett, and there's only 80 points on the table because we've got 5 races left for Division 2 this year. 1 more here, 4 at Brands Hatch. There is Steve Powell. Good to see Steve on the podium potentially. Simon Cole as well in 3rd position, but Luke Garrett is the race leader. I wonder whether Luke and the team have done the maths. Here is Luke Garrett heading down towards the provisional championship title for 2019. Double champion Luke Garrett, by my maths, takes the win. Our congratulations to Luke. We wait for Steve Powell. He was 11 seconds down on the previous lap, gallops through Honda corner for the last time, down to the flag, Powell in 2nd, and it's going to be Simon Cole back on the podium in 3rd. Adam Bint taking 4th from Brad Smith and John Powell, Jim Bennett in 7th from Paul Rivett and John Bowler.
I think we can say provisionally congratulations, 2019 champion Luke Garrett. We've all been doing the sums ourselves, your team. We reckon you've done it.
I don't know if they say so, then hopefully they're right. I needed that, I think, so yeah. Well, yeah, I don't really know what to say, really. It's good.
Congratulations, but hot work out there. Nice to see you in P2.
Yeah, no, it was all right, yeah. It's, I think we're down on pace, we are, slightly. Forstrom done us. We was catching him under the braking, but he had the better of us, and he's had a problem, so... no, we're happy, but we're not that happy, you know. We're miles off the pace for some reason, so we need to work out what's going wrong.
Simon, how about that? Great to see you back up on the podium.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's not just that, the pace has come back to the truck all of a sudden. We had the pace. I think we could have still pushed for that, even though Eric retired. I think we could have got even further, but when there was only a couple of laps to go, I let Steve go because we take each other out, otherwise he's a big old beast and they do a lot of damage.
Race 3 for Division 1. Pole position, Ryan Smith from David Jenkins, John Newell and Richard Collett on row 2. And a great start from pole position man Ryan Smith, the championship leader. Richard Collett is going around the outside line of the championship leader as they go into hatchets. That was brave stuff from Collett. Has he managed to clear David Jenkins? Yes, he has. Great move in truck with Richard Collett. And he was challenging Ryan Smith for the lead there. You can see visibility, a little bit of a premium at the moment in the early stages. Is it going to be a breakaway for Ryan Smith? Now he's out front. Dave Jenkins is going to be very determined to get back into second place. He is now, by my maths, 30 points down on Ryan Smith with that non-finish in the previous race. Side by side with Collett. Collett's going to have the inside for the next corner. Simon Reed coming up as well ahead of John Newell. Jenkins runs wide. Reed might be able to get onto a podium here. No, he can't because Dave Jenkins has a better run into the hairpin, but it's still Richard Collett in second place. But clearing away now is Ryan Smith. Ryan here, of course, maximum points for the win if he can stay where he is, but he's going to be looking for fastest lap as well, and that will give him another bonus point. The points are so hard earned in truck racing. 1 DNF and it can knock things right back, but he's got 2 races in hand at the moment as Collett locks up going down into the hairpin. Dave Jenkins through, Simon Reed through as well. Collett back on track just before John Newell was able to sneak through. Here's the onboard, and Newell goes through eventually, so Rick Collett getting very close indeed. Superb shot there from Rick Collett, and just how shows just how close these trucks get to each other on track. And you can see Rick missing a little bit of bodywork from earlier on in the meeting. Mark Taylor is in behind as well. Mark Taylor still 4th in the championship, 7 points down on John Newell at the moment, so he's seen that 3rd position just slip away from him a little bit now. So it's John Newell 3rd in the standings, John on 269 points, David Jenkins 2nd on 335, Ryan Smith on 365. Jenkins, as I say, that fastest lap that he had in the race before that he didn't finish, how crucial could that be at the end of the day? He could still sneak back in front of Ryan Smith. Are we going to see Smith's new truck at Brands Hatch? Will he risk bringing an unraced new truck to Brands Hatch in November? I'm sure he'd love to thrill the crowds and thrill the paddock with a new race truck, but will he do that? Will he play it safe and go with this truck, which is, remember, the borrowed 2nd MV commercial truck? Talking of MV commercial, by my maths, up into 6th in the championship on the last race goes Tom O'Rourke, because Simon Reed was a non-finisher. Tom on to 108 points now, and Simon Reed on 105. They've got a little bit of work to do to close down on Rick Collett. He's on 136. So 7th position in the championship, Tom O'Rourke. I beg his pardon as we watch David Jenkins trying to close down on Ryan Smith. But this is Smith getting away. Jenkins 2nd. Simon Reed is there in 3rd. John Newell trying to close down on him. Rick Collett next up, head of Mark Taylor. So this race settling down well, and it's been an interesting race, a very interesting first couple of laps of this fastest off the front race. I know that the Truck Racing Championship has evolved and will continue to evolve over the years. Remember, we had pretty much all races apart from the first race of each meeting reversed. As Newell looks on the inside line here of Simon Reed, that was a very good hatchet's hairpin from Newell, and good momentum out of it, takes the position. Simon Reed relegated to 4th, John Newell up into 3rd place. There isn't time to get explanations out the way of where I was going, which was to say about the evolution of the championship. We used to have all races apart from the first race of the meeting with reverse grids, but now we have 4 races per meeting for each class. Simon Reed losing a little bit more ground there as well, fighting the truck. Races 1 and 3 fastest off the front from qualifying, and then races 2 and 4 are the partially reverse grid races. But this race, Simon Reed really struggling now. You can see at that back end, has he got some sort of problem? Is Rick Collett is closing on him now, so Collett maybe with a chance to get up into 4th position ahead of Reed if he can close down and pass on him. Reed make no apologies for saying the fastest man yesterday in very, very wet conditions, but the Iveco not really behaving itself at the moment in the dry. Mark Taylor is in behind in the 81, still picking up points. Taylor, this is the first anniversary of his debut with the championship, and a driver that's been a very welcome addition to the championship this year. In truck with Rick Collett again, and this time closing, and you can see that really struggling here is Simon Reed, the Stoke-on-Trent based driver, and Richard Collett, the Halifax man, closing in on him. Now Collett will see that the back end of that truck is a little bit errant, and so he'll have to pick his moment as to when he can go through. I reckon he's going to be looking at, I thought he was going to wait for a long straight, but dives down the inside line there. Rick Collett, he's not hanging about. Faint heart never kissed a pig, did it? He goes straight the way through on the inside line. And now Simon Reed's going to have a go and try and fight back, but I don't think has got the pace to live with Collett. So MAN passing Iveco as they go through Honda. Here is the race leader, Ryan Smith. The most overtakes of the season, of course, with the half reverse grid races that we've had. Leads the championship by 30 points. He's got the fastest lap. He's going to pull another 2 points here on David Jenkins in this race. Jenkins still doing all that he can to keep Ryan Smith in his sights. This is Richard Collett and Simon Reed now battling for fourth place. John Newell is on the podium in third. They go through Spitfire down towards the left-hander at Debeni. I'll tell you what, Simon Reed's not lost touch with Richard Collett here at all. I thought the way that Collett caught Reed, maybe Simon's got a handle on what's going on with the truck now and driving around that. But well clear, and very nearly 9 seconds clear is Ryan Smith. He's got the fastest lap. That was back on lap 2. He popped that in early. There's the checker. Ryan Smith wins again here at Pembrey. Extends the championship lead. It's going to be another 2 points over David Jenkins, unless Jenks can get the fastest lap here. No, he can't. Jenks gets second. Third place is John Newell. And this is the 4th, 5th and 6th place trucks coming across the line. Tom O'Rourke's going to get 6 here. Ryan Smith and Dave Jenkins, John Newell, Richard Collett, Simon Reed, Tom O'Rourke in 6th place and Mark Taylor in 7th.
Ryan Smith, congratulations, winning margin there, just a shade under 9 seconds.
Yeah, and we backed off towards the end because, you know, saved the truck for the last race. I made sure I put my fastest lap in early because I'm not going to be losing 1 point to other competitors when we have got the fastest pace. So I thought I'd stamp the authority early. Crowd that's turned out here at Pembrey, a thank you to everyone who's turned out. You know, the bankings are full, you know, some great racing, and hopefully the last race should be some fun in it.
It was a difficult re-prep for us between the races, with us having had the accident and the failure in the first race of the day. So, you know, the focus was on making sure the truck was reliable and sorted. Now that we've got a good solid platform to work from, we'll go back, we'll have a look at the setup, and we'll dial the driver in, and we should have a stronger showing in the last race of the day.
The 4th race of the weekend for the Division 2 trucks. Jim Bennett on the outside of the front row, but from row 2, Brad Smith, he's going to try and squeeze through them. There's just enough room. Smith goes up into 2nd place, Bennett down to 3rd, Bint looking to try and challenge him for 3rd, but it's John Powell on the inside line. But Brad Smith in the Unity truck from the 2nd row takes the lead. What a move from one of 4 drivers vying for 2nd place in the championship. Brad Smith leads, John Powell 2nd, Adam Bint up to 3rd, side by side for 4th. Jim Bennett there at the moment. We had Garrett looking on the inside line. Bennett's still there in the 28 truck. Garrett goes wide. John Bowler through on the inside line of the sweep where they cross the track into the paddock. Steve Powell next. Then it's Simon Cole. Paul Rivette in the mix as well. Paul could have taken his place at the front of the grid, but I think bedding the truck in after the repairs following race 3. And looking at this grid, I reckon in a reverse grid scenario, every one of these drivers is capable of taking a win. That is how competitive Division 2 racing is in this country. John Powell side by side with Adam Mint. Binty in the bonneted truck. Has he got the line here? Powell won't clatter him. These drivers know that it's not in their interest to do that. They want to have a clean, fair race, and that's exactly what's going on between those two. and Binty, the former champion, gets through. Look at Brad Smith, he clawed his way through. That was an incredible squeeze through to get into the lead on the opening lap. Binty second, John Powell next, then John Bowler on a bit of a mission. Bowler being hounded by Steve Powell. Luke Garrett, provisional champion, is in behind. So remember, in terms of champions in this class, you've got former champion Steve Powell, you've got Adam Bint in the number 5, and now we've got double champion Luke Garrett. It'd be interesting to see whether he comes back to defend the Division 2 title or whether financially it's viable for him. As a little pass there, John Bowler nips past the number 6 machine of John Powell. Great move on the inside line, and again emphasises the clean nature of the racing that we see here in Division 2. Through as well goes Steve Powell, but it's Brad Smith up front, who I wonder if Brad's probably done enough to win this one. He's got a good gap at the moment. Here comes Bowler though, having a look down the inside line of Adam Bint. The two Bs side by side, Bowler and Binty. Binty on the outside line, hard on the brakes into Hatchett. He's going to go wide. John Bowler nips through, good move from him. Steve Powell following. Bowler, Powell, then it is Luke Garrett. Steve Powell's got the fastest lap so far. He's got a bit of damage as well on the outside front, but he's taking the battle to John Bowler big time here. Luke Garrett in behind. Lovely tight line by Garrett there, and Steve Powell may have the fastest lap, but grabs a bit of grass, gets some opposite lock, loses out on that battle. Across the line to take a very well-earned win is Brad Smith, 10 seconds clear of the chasers, and it's going to be Luke Garrett coming in for second. Steve Powell has recovered for a great third place. John Bowler fourth, Simon Cole in fifth. Adam Bint in sixth from John Powell, then Jim Bennett, Paul Rivette, and sadly non-starter was Eric Forstrom.
Congratulations, you made a break there, and more importantly held on to that good lead that you built up.
Yeah, I just thought if I get in front and try and make a bit of a gap, then stay there, which is what I did. So it's still there with points. So yeah, Ramsey's a good one as well.
The final race of the weekend here at Pembrey, and fittingly it's for the big boys in Division 1 with Mark Taylor on pole, Tom O'Rourke to his outside, then Simon Reed and Richard Collett. John Newell, row 3 with David Jenkins. Championship leader Ryan Smith starts at the back with all the work to do again. We've seen Ryan do it before. He and David Jenkins. David Jenkins, of course, has to overtake people as well. Second position in the last race. Here we go then. O'Rourke on the outside line. Taylor on the inside. And down in towards Hatchett's we go for the first time. Third place is Simon Reed. Richard Collett in yellow. They're hard on the brakes. And it's Taylor that's going to lead them through Hatchett. O'Rourke giving room but goes wide. Simon Reed up on his inside line. Richard Collett thinking about looking on the inside of O'Rourke, but he held on to that well, did Tom. So he is still there at the moment. Now we've got Dave Jenkins next up, but it's Mark Taylor, the race leader. Jenkins up ahead of Ryan Smith. It was fascinating to hear Smith's strategy in race 3 of popping in that fastest lap early on, which you can do if you've got clear track, fastest off the front. So Smith clearly a good strategist in truck racing. He won't be able to get any clear laps here until he can get into the front, but he's passed Jenkins. Smith passed Jenkins, significant championship wise. There was no way Jenkins was going to wrest the championship lead away from Smith in this one, but that's a decisive moment for him, and it doesn't look like David Jenkins is very happy here. Had that retirement in race 2, and they've refettled the truck as we watch the battle for the lead, and it's Simon Reed challenging Mark Taylor. Reed teeing up the inside line, the Iveco challenging the MAN, the lone Iveco. Can't quite go through. Good driving from Mark Taylor here, the youngster really maturing as a truck racer and gaining lots of experience. And of course the reverse grid races, when they stick you on the front, give you that chance to feel the pressure of what it's like to lead a race. And if you can hold off drivers like former Division 2 champion Simon Reed, that builds the confidence for the youngster. But Reed, accomplished driver, very quick as we know. Tom O'Rourke driving well here as well. Tom O'Rourke running in third place. But now Reed finds the gap down the inside line. A little bit of jostling between the two trucks. Reed backs out of that. Fair play to Simon Reed. It was close, but it got two. Oh, no, he doesn't. Contact between the two. I thought Tom O'Rourke might nip through into the lead there. but he was watching what was going on. Collett comes up into third place. O'Rourke still on the outside line, and now we've got Ryan Smith coming through as well. Ryan Smith through up ahead of the other of the Taylor's MV Commercial truck, ahead of the MV Commercial white truck. They're still side by side actually. Tom O'Rourke on the outside line, but big contact there, and Simon Reed comes through. Incredible what these trucks go through and still carry on. It's Reed leading from Taylor, Rick Collett in third, then championship leader Ryan Smith. Tom O'Rourke holds on the outside line. Good opening couple of laps here for the 86. First year driver, as you said, made his championship debut at the Nürburgring. John Newell looking at his inside, but Tom O'Rourke really has shown some real determination this weekend, and it's paying off for him. The first couple of laps that we've seen here, holding positions, holding his nerve, and slotting into truck racing very nicely. Jenkins at the back at the moment, not looking too happy. Again, most of these drivers, as we said in Division 2, capable of podium finishing positions. Remember, we saw a fourth place finish from Tom earlier on, and it won't be too long before he's got the pace to bag a podium, and all of the other drivers certainly capable of it. In fact, they've already done in terms of podiums, and I think all apart from Mark Taylor having taken career wins as well. So it's Simon Reed out front, Mark Taylor in P2, and then Rick Collett in third. Now, is Collett going to defend here? No, Ryan Smith gets a very good run out of Honda, not actually quite quick enough to close on Collett, who comes across, grabs the inside line. So it's Reed, Taylor, Collett, Smith in fourth place, O'Rourke still in fifth position up ahead of John Newell. This is good stuff from Tom O'Rourke, and you'll forgive me for banging on about the fifth place driver because we love seeing new drivers in truck racing and how well they develop, but it's Simon Reed out front. Now, if Reed was away and down the road, I'd be starting to tip him for the win, but coming up into third place is Ryan Smith. Neat pass there on the inside line of Richard Collett, and the number one truck is the danger truck really here, because Simon Reed may be hampered by the damage from the contact that he had with Mark Taylor. He's not getting away, I don't think, at enough of a rate to be able to fend off Ryan Smith. We know that Ryan is a big fan of reverse grid racing and working his way through without any damage as well. Look at that, number one truck, absolutely pristine at the moment, but the two trucks ahead of him have had little knocks, actually big knocks in the early stages of this race. But it's Reed still out front, Smith P2, Taylor now in third place from Richard Collett. Down into Hatchets we go again. Ryan Smith's got the fastest lap of this one, 1 minute 11.821. Potentially another point in the bag, and he's going to extend the championship lead here. I reckon Dave Jenkins not making progress at the moment. It'll be 2.5 races clear, so he'll be looking to sew things up. Possibly race 1 at Brands Hatch, possibly race 2, which will be race 1 of day 2 at Brands Hatch in November, which is the one with the biggest crowd. Now, Ryan will want to sew it up as early as possible, but if he does it in front of the big Sunday crowd, because we've got the massive firework display at Brands Hatch, that would be all the more spectacular for him. But it's not over yet. There could be problems at Brands Hatch. David Jenkins could still come back. Jenks is made of very stern stuff. He will keep racing right until the end of that fourth race at Brands Hatch, the first weekend of November. So Collett now trying to close down on Mark Taylor. Meanwhile, this is the battle for the lead. Ryan Smith, who's come through from the back of the grid, has closed down on and makes a move earlier than I thought he was going to. Tees up the inside line here on Simon Reed. These two are great rivals in Division 2, and they're good rivals in Division 1 as well. Ryan Smith could have played it safe there, but goes for the move, and that is a textbook move by Ryan Smith round the outside line of the Iveco. So it's MAN first, Iveco in second place, and now Reed's going to have a little look to try and get back. Here's the third, fourth and fifth. John Newell in fifth place and busy chasing, but Ryan Smith out front surely will pull away from Simon Reed. Now look at the gap that the lead two have built up over Mark Taylor, and Taylor, for my money, doing a very good job at the moment in third position. Taylor's had a number of career podia already, and just seems to build. I think the pressure he was under, he had contact from behind in this race, but he's still third. And I wouldn't use the phrase holding on. He's defending superbly at the moment from Richard Collett. Holding on doesn't come into it. He's driving real well, and it looks like he may well finish third. It's going to be about this final tour. They get the last lap board. Ryan Smith hasn't dropped Simon Reed as much as I thought he was going to. Mark Taylor in third. Is Richard Collett going to be able to pull a last lap move? He's going on the outside line here as they come down into the hairpin. Might go for the cutback. Not sure quite what the thought was there by Rick, whether he did want the cutback, but he'll be looking in his mirrors a little bit as well, because we've got John Newell in fifth, Tom O'Rourke in sixth, David Jenkins getting some consolation points at the moment in seventh place. Needs to do that, needs to bag the finishing points to take the championship to Brands Hatch, and it will go to Brands, the final event of the year. Collett now under big pressure from John Newell, and that is going to free up Mark Taylor, the third ahead of him, Simon Reed, and this man Ryan Smith, who is on his way to another win here at Pembrey to grab another 16 championship points in the MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship 2019. Into Honda Corner goes the Taylor's MV Commercial truck, which is on loan to him. Doesn't matter what you put him in, he can take a win. Bears the checker, Smith wins. Simon Reed with a bit of showboating on Honda Corner takes second place. Now, what about third? Mark Taylor still there. Lights ablaze from him. Taylor, a very well-deserved third place. Richard Collett fourth. Then John Newell in fifth. Tom O'Rourke in sixth, just about from David Jenkins. O'Rourke sees off Jenkins just for sixth position. The fastest lap of the talk about showboating. There is Ryan Smith, and that is to salute the big crowd that we've got here at Pembrey watching the racing. Here's confirmation of the result. Ryan Smith takes the win. He got the fastest lap as well. Simon Reed in second. The podium completed by Mark Taylor ahead of Richard Collett, John Newell, Tom O'Rourke and David Jenkins in seventh.
Ryan, super battle. We just heard you saying it there. Great battle with Simon. But also, I want to focus on that move around the outside at De Benny, where you got the lead. Super stuff.
You can race fair with Simon, but wow, what a fight he put up then. He was not giving that up. It was good on the brakes, the traction and the engine on that thing. Wow, that was the best race I've been involved in for quite some time, and I had to work for that. You can see I'm sweating and clean. Yeah. I didn't crash into Simon. He didn't crash into me. Be respectful of your opponents, you know. And that's what I have for this guy. He's wow, I'm delighted.
Simon, congratulations on second position in that race. Super race with Ryan there.
Yes, yeah, spot on, to be honest with you. Managed to slide past me, but then stayed on back of him to pressurise him a bit. And yeah, it swings and roundabouts really. I had him at better pace in some places and not so in the other, you know. But if he'd have made the mistake, I'd have gone for it, you know what I mean. But yeah, no, it was a cracking race.
Tom really coming on with the driving and racing.
I am. This is my fifth meeting, and I've been watching loads of videos, and Ryan Smith has given me great tuition and things. So
fantastic. Changeable weather conditions for you to deal with this weekend as well.
Racing in the sun makes life a lot easier, you know. So I think that's why Scottish folk are so miserable, because of the weather, you know.
Championship tables as we head to Brands Hatch for the finale. 37 points the gap between Ryan Smith and Dave Jenkins. John Newell in third, Mark Taylor fourth ahead of Richard Collett, Ray Coleman and Simon Reed. In Division 2, provisional champion is Luke Garrett. Steve Powell back up into second now ahead of Brad Smith, Paul Rivette and John Bowler.
So there we are, 8 races complete here at Pembrey. The penultimate round of the 2019 MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship. Congratulations to Division 2 champion Luke Garrett, who did a super job and wrapped things up really, I guess, a race earlier than we thought he would have done. The championship for Division 1 goes to Brands Hatch in November. Ryan Smith still in the box seat. We hope you'll join us there. Thanks for watching and bye-bye for now.